A pleasant good afternoon to one and all. I welcome you all to this TSAT Live Lectures 2022. I am S. Chiranjeevi, posing 10th grade at TTWREIS COE Boys, Miryalaguda. Friends, our earth is a beautiful place where different types of organisms coexist, from minute masses to huge conifers, from invisible bacteria to huge blue whales, all together lives in a same society. And all these organisms directly or indirectly depends on the plants. So we can say that plant is the base of the world. When we observe the plant, we observe that the plant's growth, development, transportation of materials and their mechanical strength. Friends, do you know how all these things happens? Yes, because of the presence of the tissues. Today I am going to present my presentation about plant tissues. Friends, I hope at the end of this lesson you may learn about these 6 topics. They are tissue and cell definition, types of tissues, meristematic tissue, dermal tissue, ground tissue, last but not least vascular tissue. Friends, I will begin with the tissue and cell definition. Group of cells which are similar in structure, shape and function are known as tissue. And then what is cell? Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of the life which contains a promote nucleus, cell wall, mitochondria, and it also contains the cytoplasm, the jelly-like substance. So we are going to discuss about this cell. Cell wall, you can see here, this is the protecting layer of the cell. It protects the cell from the external environment. It protects the cell from the external environment. And this is the nucleus. The genetic material and the characteristics having is done by this nucleus. And the cytoplasm, the jelly-like substance which is present in between the nucleus and the cell wall is known as the cytoplasm. And mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. The mitochondria is known as a tissue. And when it comes to the plants, there are 4 main basic tissues. They are meristematic tissue, dermal tissue, ground tissue, last but not least vascular tissue. I start with meristematic tissue. The tissues that bring overall growth, and repair, are known as the meristematic tissues. Whenever you observe this plant, the overall development of this plant from the tip to the root, everything develops itself and it can repair itself. Whenever we pluck a stem from this, it can regenerate it. This is the capability of the plant. And in this meristematic tissue there are 3 types. They are meristematic tissue, apical meristematic tissue, lateral meristematic tissue, intercalary meristematic tissue. First one, apical meristematic tissue. The growth of the tips in a plant, and the meristematic tissue which is present at the growing tips and which is useful to increase the length are known as the apical meristematic tissue. You can carefully observe here. So this is the apical meristematic tissue, the growth of the tips, and it is same in the roots also. Roots can grow downwards towards the earth. This is also known as the apical meristematic tissue. It can grow, and the main thing is meristematic tissue is also known as the division tissue, because in this meristematic tissue always the division of cells takes place, and through this the tree can bring overall growth of the tree, and it can repair itself. This is about the meristematic tissue. Whenever you observe the picture, there are three parts specifically mentioning here. They are, this is apical meristematic tissue, and this is intercalary meristematic tissue, this is lateral meristematic tissue, and the next one is lateral meristematic tissue. Lateral, it means side to side. The increasement in the diameter of a plant stem is known as the lateral meristematic tissue. This, whenever you compare this stem to this stem, you have observed here, this is thin, this is thick when compared to this. So this is because of the presence of the lateral meristematic tissue. What is the main function of the lateral meristematic tissue? It increases the diameter of the plant. And the next one, intercalary meristematic tissue. Intercalary, the areas from where the branching takes place are known as the intercalary meristematic tissue. Whenever you observe this stem, this is a branch which is raised from the stem, and this connection between the plant and the stem is known as the intercalary meristematic tissue. It is also at the roots. It is also at the roots. This connection, it is known as the intercalary meristematic tissue. And the second tissue we are going to discuss is dermal tissue. The tissues which forms the outer coverings of the plant. The tissues which forms the outer coverings of the plant are known as dermal tissues. In this dermal tissue, there are respectively three types. They are epidermis, mesodermis, endodermis. First one, epidermis. And epidermis, whenever we observe, this is a bark of the neem plant. Whenever we observe this is the epidermis. Epi, it means the outermost layer. Outermost layer is known as the epidermis. This is the epidermis. This is. And the second one, mesodermis. And another thing, whenever it comes to leaf, in this epidermis the presence of the stomata, which is useful for the exchange of the gases. And whenever we scratch this plant, the epidermis, we observed a green color layer which is like this. This is a green color layer. It is known as the mesodermis. So we can say that this is the epidermis and this is the mesodermis. And the mesodermis presents in between the endodermis and the epidermis. And then last one, endodermis. Endodermis, this is the endodermis, a thread like structure. This is, or where this is white color in the neem plant, and this is endodermis. It is the last part of the dermal tissue. Friends, we have known about the dermal tissue. Can you know, do you know what are the uses of this dermal tissue? Yes, dermal tissue can protect from the external environment to the plant. What is the main function of this dermal tissue is it gives the protection. And the next one, friends, have you ever observed the neem and acacia plants? So whenever you observe that a sticky substance which is secreted from the plant is known as the gum. And this is the gum which is secreted from the neem plant. This is the gum, and it is secreted from the dermal tissue. So we can say that another use of this dermal tissue is it can prevent the loss of water. And the next one, and another thing of this dermal tissue is without dermal tissue, the insecticides come and attack the stem directly. With this, the stem can lose it and lose its energy, and it cannot stand erect. Erect, it means straight to straight. It cannot stand erect, and it is affected when it affected by the insecticides. You have observed the picture here, dermal tissue picture. So it is affected by the insecticides. Where the bark layer is present, it is good, but when it comes to the direct stem, the insects attack on it and they absorb the energy and the nutrients from the plant stem. And this is about the dermal tissue. And the second one, third tissue is ground tissue. And the third tissue is ground tissue. The tissues that form the bulk of the plant body. The tissues that form the bulk of the plant body and helps in packaging other tissues are known as the ground tissues. And first one forms the bulk of the plant body. Bulk, it means the total part. And the ground tissue use is it can forms the plant, and the main things are present in the ground tissue. Whenever you observe the stem, it is just presence of, you have observed here, this is the dermal tissue, and this is the dermal tissue, and this which is in between the, this is known as a ground tissue. So and it is helps in packaging other tissues. In this ground tissue there are three types. They are parenchyma, they are parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. First one, parenchyma. The cells of the parenchyma are loosely packed. The cells of the parenchyma are loosely packed due to the presence of the cellulose. Para, it means fill. Chyma, it means tissue. Filling the tissues. This process is known as the parenchyma. The main use of the parenchyma is it stores the materials. This is about the parenchyma. And when it comes to collenchyma, you have observed here, collenchyma is, in image also you can observe, collenchyma is tightly packed when compared to the parenchyma, because the presence of the pectin. The pectin present in the collenchyma makes its cells to be stronger. This is about the collenchyma. And the third one is sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is useful for the formation of the nut peels. Whenever we observe the nut peels, the nut peel which contains is formed by this sclerenchyma. Whenever we take this as a seed, this is the outer covering. This is the outer covering, and it is a peel whenever we rub it. This is the sclerenchyma. And friends, parenchyma is useful for the storage, collenchyma is useful for the support. Collenchyma gives the plant the mechanical strength. So that's why a plant can stand erect. And dermal tissue gives external protection for this ground tissue. And we can simply say that all these tissues are formed from the meristematic tissue. And this is about the parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. And the next one, in parenchyma there are three types. They are chlorenchyma, aerenchyma, storage parenchyma. This is chlorenchyma, contains chloroplast. The parenchyma which contains the chloroplast are known as chlorenchyma, and the parenchyma which contains the aerenchyma are known as which contains the large air cavities are known as the aerenchyma, and the parenchyma which is useful for the storage of materials and which is used for the storage of the food material and also for the waste material are known as the storage parenchyma. This is about this. And whenever you observe the pictures, parenchyma tissue types, first one chlorenchyma, which is green in color. Chlorenchyma consists of the chloroplast. Friends, do you know what is the use of this chlorenchyma? Yes, chlorenchyma traps the light energy. Whenever light energy comes towards the leaf, it traps. This is the function of this chlorenchyma. And then the chlorenchyma, which is consists of the chloroplast, uses this energy in the photosynthesis process. And the next one, storage parenchyma. Whenever this chloroplast only traps the energy and send it to the photosynthesis process and make the tree balance, and the excess material which is released in the process of photosynthesis stores in the storage parenchyma. This is about the storage parenchyma. And the second one, aerenchyma. The parenchyma which contains large air cavities are known as the aerenchyma. The best example for the aerenchyma is banana tree. Friends, whenever you observe this, it contains a tiny small holes. So this is a perfect example for the aerenchyma. Whenever we pluck it, you have observed the tiny holes are breaking itself, and it forms like a stairs. So this is the aerenchyma, which is present in the ground tissue. So we can learn from this that ground tissue divided into three types. They are parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. And the use of the parenchyma is storage, and the use of this collenchyma is giving the support, and the use of this sclerenchyma is the formation of the nut peel, and it is very stronger. And the next, when comes to the parenchyma types, it is known as a chlorenchyma, aerenchyma, storage parenchyma. The main function of these three parenchyma types are they are useful for the storage. And this is about the ground tissue. And the last tissue, that is vascular tissue. The tissues that helps in transportation of materials. The tissues that helps in the transportation of materials are known as the vascular tissue, and it is also known as the transporting tissue. The vascular tissue consists of xylem and phloem. Xylem transports the water and the salt materials from the root to the plant parts. This is example for this vascular tissue. The xylem transports the water from the soil through the process of osmosis, and it goes through a specific wave direction like a tube, and it transfers the salt and water to all the parts of the plants. So we can say that whenever water coming from this, it absorbs the water and transports the water like this. Whenever it divides into the branches, it transports like this, and whenever it comes to a higher stage, and it also transfers the water in this stage, goes through the branches, and branches to the leaves, and they followed in the process of the photosynthesis. And the next one is phloem. Phloem transports the nutrients and the minerals from the roots to the body parts, and these both are known as the vascular bundles. So whenever we take this root, it absorbs the minerals and the nutrients which is present in the plant body, and it absorbs the mineral and the nutrients from the soil, and it transfers this material to all over the body parts of the to all over the plant parts. This is about the vascular tissue. And friends, we have already known about that the meristematic tissue is useful for the growth of the plant, and the second one, dermal tissue, is useful, and the dermal tissue useful for the formation of the outer coverings, and the third tissue, that is ground tissue, useful for the storage and the mechanical support, and the fourth tissue, vascular tissue, which is useful for the transportation of materials from one place to another place. So I am going, let we have discussed what you have learnt. Meristematic tissue is useful for overall growth and repair. Meristematic, it means the division of the cells. In this meristematic tissue, always the division of cells takes place. And the second one, dermal tissue. Dermal tissue is used to give mechanical support and prevents the loss of water. Ground tissue. Ground tissue is useful for providing the physical support to the plant and packaging other tissues. And the vascular tissue is consist of xylem and phloem. These both are known as vascular bundles. Friends, and I am going to conclude that tissues plays a crucial role in a plant development. Plant develops and it transports, and it has a great mechanical strength due to the presence of these tissues. And tissues makes the plant healthy, and plants makes us healthy. So as a future citizens of India, it is our responsibility to save the plants. Our forefathers have gave this to us, the forests, and we have to protect them, and we have to give to our earlier generations, because they had a responsibility that they have to make our lives brighter than them, and we have to think that we have to make our elder generation, younger generation's life to be greater. So I sincerely thank to Honorable Secretary Sir and RCO of Nallagunda, and I thank Team Miryalaguda, the teachers of the Miryalaguda, which we can say that Team Miryalaguda, it never divides anyone from any place. It's just a Team Miryalaguda. And I thank my friends Narsimha, Madhu, Ragya, Akil for staying a night with me, for supporting me, and I thank the TSAT studio, and I thank the society and government of Telangana for providing me a great opportunity. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bhim.